Hi, I'm Steve Erickson from MidlifeSolopreneur.com.
And I'm Jake Erickson from FlowCampaigns.com.
This is our daily debrief, and we're talking about what we've been working on today and also giving you some tips and strategies that you can use in your own business. So today is September 17th, and we are on episode number 53. Now, today I did my Q&A for the course. So this is the week one of the second run of the course Q&A session.
Yep.
And I think what was really useful to discover, to go through, is that the first question I got from the participants was actually to go back over some of the material that I covered last time.
Yeah.
And I think last time I spent around 30 seconds describing. It was a set of questions that we want to ask. They're emotional questions that you ask people to do your market research. So I spent around half an hour maybe the first time.
Yeah.
And this time...
Well, you said 30 seconds earlier. You meant 30 minutes.
Oh, 30. Yeah, 30 seconds is a bit short time.
Yeah. You spent 30 minutes on it. And I think this is something going in that we knew we wanted to spend a little bit more time on and go over again. But, we did get that question pretty early on. It's like, hey, I watched the recording. It went pretty quick. Can we go over it again? Yeah.
And this time I spent over an hour on that section and went through it in really, really detailed, a lot of detail. And it was clear from other questions I was getting that I didn't cover it in sufficient depth the first time. So I'm really glad that I'm doing the Q&A because it gives me feedback from the course, areas where I can improve, and also allows me to cover in more depth the material that I didn't get across so well first time.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do for the next course really is to look at that session in particular. It's the first session of the course. And we're going to look at it and saying, what parts of the content do we want to emphasize?
Yep.
Where do we want to spend 5-10 minutes just on the concept, maybe 15 minutes just explaining the concept?
Yeah.
And what can we be quicker on? So we obviously, when we are spending more time on a particular section, we may have less time on other sections. So we need to find that balance and do that right.
Yeah, absolutely. And, there's a couple of really key concepts from lesson one that you really need to understand, because they kind of like the rest of the progression is reliant on that.
Yeah.
So really making sure that people understand that content, ideally in the first lesson, if not, really making sure that it's, hammered in the Q&A is going to be really important, just because, the rest of what we're building on really relies on having your ideal client identified. And it's really the core kind of foundations of what we're teaching.
Yeah, absolutely. And so getting the questions right is very, very important. And it was also good that the course participants were able to ask questions and also come up with some wording that they wanted to be using.
Yeah.
And one of the questions I got was, so if I ask the interview subject, so when you're experiencing X, do you feel like Y? And we had to say that no, because here's the challenge. When you're using language in that way, like, do you feel like this? You're actually planting the idea in their mind that they were going to feel like this.
Yeah, it's leading.
Very leading. And they might have been considering something else that their emotion was around it. But then when you are using that word, they go, yeah, maybe you're right. That's the word I used.
Yeah.
Word use, And the effect of that is to skew your results. Yeah. And if you skew your results, then you get a different answer than what you actually, what is a different answer to the truth, really.
Yeah. What you want is to really avoid putting in preconceptions into people's minds, avoid suggesting how they might feel or assuming how they might feel, and really let them tell you themselves.
Yeah.
And that's a really important part. And I think, spending an extra time on the questions up front would help, make that really clear to people as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Because also one thing, when you come out with the emotion, like, do you feel like this particular emotion or have this kind of reaction? It's your own preconceived ideas.
Yeah.
And this needs to be pure data. It needs to be the people that you're interviewing telling you exactly what they're feeling. It's only then that it becomes valid. The data that you have that you're collecting becomes valid.
Yeah. So, and I think, when you're dealing with people who have complex emotions, they may be feeling multiple emotions at the same time.
Yeah.
So looking at you, and for instance, you help midlife solopreneurs with tech and marketing.
Yeah.
So let's say focusing on the tech. Through your research, you found that a lot of people describe it as overwhelm.
Yeah.
They're feeling overwhelmed. But if you ask people, do you feel angry about the technology? They'll probably go, yeah, I think I feel a bit angry. Are you scared that you're not going to be able to sort out the technology? Yeah, I'm scared as well. I feel a little bit. But then going out and using that language doesn't hit people well enough, or as well as if you'd use overwhelm, which is the word that they themselves will use.
Yeah.
So you might they might pay a little bit of attention. You might pique their interest, but it's not going to hit them. That message is not going to really resonate with them if you're not using that same language that they would use to describe it themselves.
Yeah, and that's a core part of the messaging here, that when you're asking the right type of questions, they give you the words that you would be using in your own marketing, and then they feel that you know them. They feel so connected to you because you understand their world, you understand their pains and what they're going through. And that's a core part of the whole messaging. So when you are skewing it by suggesting how they're going to be feeling, you basically end up skewing your results, and you'll find the job harder when you're going out to sell.
Absolutely. It's in your best interest to have it be as unbiased as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. So with that, the advice really is to be very careful so you don't influence the result of, and you get back what you want to hear as opposed to the truth. That I think is very important.
Yeah.
So with that, if you like this podcast, please like, rate, review, share, and subscribe. And we'll see you tomorrow.
Cool. We'll see you tomorrow.